these are all the concepts which we are going to cover in this particular course. First of all, syntax of a Python, in which we are going to tell you how simple is the syntax, because Python provides you the simplest syntax when it is compared to the all of the language which exist. Java has somehow complicated when it compares to the Python, and Python is a language which has objects and the classes through which you can able to use this language in many of the data related things. And we have the basic concepts and the data type, basic concepts which includes the string and operations, and next we have the conditional statements and the loops, in which we are going to use the conditions to run a specific code. If condition will not meet, we are not going to use that particular code. And we have the loops, in which we are going to repeat a particular code to run in a given set of a loop. And we have the references, arrays, and the pointers. Using that, we can able to store data of a same data type. If it is int, you can able to store a multiple int data like 10, 20, 30, 40 into only one variable. I will discuss this in later. Next we have the functions. In the functions, we discuss a lot of things, and we have the classes and the objects, and we have the iterators and the scope, file management, and the modules. Modules are the important chapters in this particular thing, and this is all about the agenda. First of all, we go with output and input. In the output format, if you want to print anything or you want to display anything into the screen, you just have to use this print statement, print hello world, and that's all. It is going to print the hello world. It must be in a string format. You need to differentiate between string and a character. Character is a one thing which is written with a single quote, and the string character is in a single quote and string is in a double quote, and you need to give the input in the format of double quote to print it here. Print hello world, it is going to print the hello world here. After that, we have the input, and whenever you want to take any input from the user, you use this x equal to input enter. It is going to take your input here using the enter string, and you just have to give the input, and it is going to take that input and going to store it in this variable x. And this is all about output and the input. Next we have the comments. Well, comments are an important thing because you are going to create a code, and if you are making it an open source in which anyone can use your code for their own purpose, then it might be difficult for them to figure it out that what this particular code does. Means if you have written a code which is somehow complicated and does some work, and if user means another programmer comes to fetch your code so that he can run there, but he doesn't know that what that particular code does, it become a complicated thing. Therefore we use the comments. Comments help us to figure it out whether this particular code will run what type of output. Means if I written a plus b function which adds up two variables, then we can use we can just have to write that this function uses two integers and add up them and give the result. We can just write this hash mark, and we can write here that it is this function is a summation, and this hash function is a single line comment. Means if you have written this hash mark and you are given this sentence, and if I just take a new line, it is not going to take that as a comment. It is going to give you a syntax error. Therefore this hash mark is used for only single line comment, the comments which are only one line. Then we have the multi-line comments. If you are writing the multi-line comments, means a new line you are generating, you just use these three quotes, these three double quotes to give the syntax, and this is all about the multi-line comments. Next we have the variables. See, what are the variables? Variables are the thing which we can change the values, and we can able to store the values. For example, when I say x equal to 10, this value 10 is stored in the x, and we can able to do any operations using this x only. Means if we write x plus 1, it is going to give us the value as 11. Here because 10 is saved in this x, when we say x plus 1, it is going to give us 11. And this is how we use the variables. And there are a lot of variables. In the numbers we have the integers, we have the decimals, we have the complex, and we come up with a string in which it is double quote, and we can able to give the character which is in single quote, and we have the list in which we can able to store the data in the square brackets in the dictionary, with the braces in the tuple, in the brackets in the set also with the braces, but you are not able to fetch any data. And this is all about the variables. We will discuss this partly in the upcoming courses. Next, ruling for means rules for naming the variables. Yes, there are a set of rules through which you can able to name. As I have discussed, when we say x equal to 10, the variable 10 is stored in x. But there are something which you can't use. Means after that a to z variables, you don't have anything. Therefore we start using the string. Means we start using a y z equal to 10 and name equal to 10. Yes, we can use those whole things n a m e equal to 10, and we can able to store that 10 value to the name. But there are rules. Rule says that the first letter of the variable must be a underscore or letter. It either be underscore or a letter. It doesn't have to be a number or a special operators or a special signs like this hash mark, hat, and this bar or any number. It doesn't have to be any number or special character which starts which is at the starting. And in fact, in the whole variable you are not allowed to use this hash mark, hat, and or bar mark for declaring the variable. You don't need to use any of such kind, and neither any of the mathematical operations. You are allowed to use only the letters or the underscore to declare a name. And variable name doesn't have to contain the spaces. Means if you have roll number, you don't have to use ROLL space NUMBER equal to 11. No, you are not allowed to use such kind. You don't have to use any of the spaces in the variables. You are allowed to use only this alphabetical variables or alphabetical with underscore variables. You are not allowed to use anything. And this is all about the rules for naming the variables. Now I am going to discuss about the variables in the Python. Variables are an important thing not only in the Python, in any of the other languages, because these variables are going to store the values such as integer, decimal, string, character, and the matrices. And therefore it plays an important role in many of the programming languages including the Python. Now I am going to discuss how we can able to store the values in the variable. For example, when I say n equal to 2, we can able to store the value 2 in the n. Means this 2 is going to be stored in this n, and whenever I say print n, this print statement is going to give us output as a 2. Means it is going to access this n and it is going to access the value 2 and it is going to give us the output. And this is how we go with getting the declaring a variable and getting the output out of it. And this is how we go with the variables. As you can have a look at here, we got output as a 2 because this print statement accesses the value of the n, and this is how we go with the variables. Now I am going to discuss how we can able to name. Means there is a rules or there is a convention of naming the variables. You are not allowed to use any of these characters. These are termed as a special characters. You are not allowed to use these all things in your variable name. And you are only allowed to use two things. One is this underscore, and you can able to use any of the alphabets which you have. Either it is in uppercase or lowercase, you can able to use this. Means either in capital letters or small letters, you can able to use them. And after this I am going to show you that you are not allowed to use any of the numbers in your variable name. It is going to give you an error. For example, it has highlighted you that you are not allowed to use these particular things. The only two things which you are able to use, it is one is underscore and another thing is the string, means the alphabets. And this is how we go with naming the variables. Well, after that, I am going to discuss assigning the multiple values in the variable. We have already discussed that when I say n equal to 2, the 2 value is stored into n. But how come we can able to store the multiple values? To store the multiple values, we have to just say x. For example, here I am saying x comma y comma z equal to 2 comma 3 comma 4. These are sequentially stored, means x is the value of x here is 2, the value of y is here 3, and value of z is 4. And this particular thing works in only Python. And when I say print x, it is going to show you the value of x, which is 2. And after that, we can able to access the multiple values also. As you can have a look at here, when I say print x, print y, print z, it has shown us everything sequentially 2, 3, 4. And this is how we store the multiple values in the variable using the multiple variables. And this is how we go with assigning the multiple values. At last, we have the global variables. Global variables are the thing, if you once declare them, you can able to use anywhere where you want. Means in the whole code, if you write x equal to 10, then you say x plus 1, it is going to give you the answer 11. But when you use the global variable pi equal to 3.142, you write pi equal to pi plus 1. Means if you are updating the value of pi with one value, it is not going to update that value. In fact, it is going to give you an error. And that's how we go with the global variables. Global variables are a thing which you can able to use anywhere in the code once after the declaration. That is how the global variables work, and we will discuss these all things in clarity in VS Code. Next, we have the data types. I have already discussed some of the data types. Data is anything. Data might be anything. It might be a number, it might be string, or it might be any sequence or map. First of all, we discuss what is a number. In the programming, number is a thing which is an integer, it might be a float, or it might be a complex. Complex, which includes I number, root of -1 is I, which I already learned in your schools. What is a complex number? Complex number is a thing which is under square root of -1 and which is represented with a j value. These all come under the number, and you can able to declare these numbers into any of the variable x equal to this thing, and you can able to just write a code x equal to 10, and you have to write a print type or type, and that x, it is going to give you the type of x belongs to. If it is 10, it means it is integer. If it is 10.5, it is float or decimal. Here we don't write decimal. Here in the programming we write it as a float. Means anything which any number which has a dot in it, it is a decimal or a float, we write float. And next 10j, it is a complex number. Then we have the text which includes the string. Anything which is written with a double quote, which is in double quote or single quote, it is termed as a character or string, which come under the text. Then we have the sequence include the set, tuple, range, and we have the mapping which include dictionary. We are going to discuss these all things in the upcoming course videos. That's all. Thank you.